We have the most in-depth guide for you here today on the Great Wyvern Hunt. This particular level is a mini event here in Cinnamon Valley Wyvern in the special episodes Legend of the Red Dragon. I'm excited to bring you the latest and greatest teams, the best team, a couple of key tips and tricks between phases, really a phase 1 strategy and a phase 2 strategy or end game here for the Great Wyvern Hunt. Additionally, we'll walk through a lot of the top cookies that you can use to build your team to succeed here and break into the rankings, hopefully the top 1%. I am currently right around the top 5%. Very excited about that, and a lot of it has to do with the power level of my cookies, and we'll talk about that today in the episode and guide. So thank you for tuning in. Down below you'll find the timestamps available to you for the section or portion of today's video that's going to help you with your game here in the Great Wyvern Hunt. Additionally, on top of that, if you happen to have a question or comment throughout the episode, please do let me know. I love to hear from you, and feel free to swing by the Discord server. All right, let's get going here because we got a lot happening on this in-depth guide here today on the Great Wyvern Hunt. So the first thing that we want to cover is the phase 1 portion of the Great Wyvern Hunt. So like a lot of the other mini games or events that we've had here, the first thing that you want to do is you want to max level each of these additional benefits between cooldown, crit, and crit damage. My recommendation as you're trying to scale into this is start with reduced cooldown, then followed by crit, and then focus on the damage at the end. Ideally, what you want to do is try and get in as many hits as you can and survive. That is going to be huge for you and your team. A good strategy to do that is one behind me right here in terms of the team that we have, and it's typically going to be having 2 healers. A key component here, pure vanilla, is going to give you the big nuke heals, and then additionally you have cotton or something like our friend right here, pomegranate, which could also give you some additional support with the healing over time. This one makes a good transition as well over cotton into some of the late game there as well. So that's going to be your big strategy around that piece. And additionally, don't forget to use your cookie when it comes to royal margarine cookie instead of the level 51 that they're going to leave you with there as well. So those are all key pieces for you in phase 1. Phase 2 is really going to be about that damage. So for us, again, being at that 100+ million mark right now, to get to your 1%, it's around 300 million. So once this started, it's gone up about 100 million. Again, that's now just more players investing in this particular event in order to maximize that score for some amazing rewards here. As you can see, for Pataya Dragon, some amazing gems and crystals, rainbow cubes, and some good coinage right there as well. So next we want to talk about the best team. Now, really kind of 2 right now that I would say are going to be those for you right here. The first one that we have is this one right here that runs macaroon cookie, and additionally we're running our cream puff cookie as the healer. So not all of them run healers, so that's something that you can consider, but this one runs this strategy between these 2. The other core components of this team obviously are royal margarine, we got prune juice, and then additionally we have our friend rye cookie. So those are big ones there. We'll go ahead and do a run with this team, obviously making sure that we're maximizing on our 3 pieces here, and we'll come back to that here in a second. So let's go ahead and absolutely crush it. Here we go. Boss time. And see if we can repeat here on the 100 million. All right, so I don't know if we're gonna get there. Over halfway and we're less, but now we're starting to move on some of that damage. Kept our healer still alive. Not quite. We lost macaroon in the front. 75 million. So still not a bad run nonetheless. All right, let's go back. So that's one team for you. The second best team, I would say as well, depending on your cookies, is really going to be this one right here as well. Here we're more focused on the poison damage with Shroomy, Prune Juice. We have Pomegranate is the healer. Again, core components being these three, and then Rye Cookie. So that is another really good team here for you. I'll show you mine. It's not going to hold up. Most likely we'll get wiped. We'll got the crit 30%. Let's do it again. Team gains damage plus 10% for every 10 seconds. Let's go ahead and run it with this one. There we go. Now again, you can see that healing periodic damage over time, which is huge in terms of that survivability. We just got to stay on top of it, and my Pomegranate just is not as powerful, or is as powerful enough in terms of surviving. But these are two of the current key best teams for the Wyvern Hunt in terms of what you're going to do and how you're going to roll through this. One last one that I want to use here as well, or I'll just show you real quickly, in terms of some of the swaps and changes. You can run a more focused, poison focused one by swapping out Rye for our lovely, where are you? Right here, Licorice Cookie as another alternative for you to run a more focused poison damaged cookie team. So those are all the key teams, the best teams for you to be running right now in the Great Wyvern Hunt. I do want to talk about the boss a little bit more here for you and why we broke down that specific strategy. As you could see when we ran through it, a couple of the key components here, it's vulnerable to all elements. We saw his Ravage, we saw his Poison Sphere, Wyvern Wing, and Toxic Breath. So we want to make sure we keep dealing hits. Really hard to be susceptible, or it is susceptible, these teams, to a lot of that stun, that pushback, and those things as well. So we just want to make sure that we can get a ton of burst damage in there, in particular against this boss. Now, one other key thing with your cookies here as well, in terms of the breakdown, is making sure that you have a good line of sight on your treasures. As always, these three here are my big ones, but certainly good focus here on things like this right here, Disciples Magic Scroll, to replace this one if it's leveled up enough. Additionally here with Sleepyhead's Jelly Watch, but really that focus and burst damage, really about that attack power. If you can get your whistle higher, even better there as well, but really focused on those key elements in terms of your cookie teams. Now additionally here, some of the toppings that you can consider. Obviously, I'm going to say probably three key ones depending on the cookies, and I have guides here for you on the channel that you can watch. But things like Raw Attack with the raspberry sets. We have our cooldown set here with Choco Chip, and then additionally any survivability stuff with the solid almonds. The solid almonds on all these for this particular boss can be very solid. Get it? If you are running more of that pure damage, raw damage team, you're definitely going to want it. Obviously my Pomegranate is at 3-star ascension and still couldn't keep up on the reset here. So those are a couple things to keep in mind, again, depending on your particular team. So we've talked about the phasing with the Wyvern, really the phase 1 into the phase 2, and the damage and the scaling. We've talked about the two best teams plus a third there for you as well, and hitting the top 1%. We've also broke down a little bit more around the Wyvern in particular, and the treasures and the toppings for your particular team. The last thing that I want to do here in today's all-inclusive, all-depth guide is really walk through a lot of those key cookies that you can use to shape your team to be the best that it can be for this particular event. So when we go into it here, these are the key components that I like. Making sure that you have pure vanilla on the double healer strategy is going to be key for that scaling, along with cotton is a good one, and pomegranate. So those are key cookies for that portion. Additionally here, as you can see, we don't really need any other legendaries per se in terms of your team. The other one that's really good here is Cream Puff. In terms of that healing, we're also on attack, so that's something that you can consider as well. Additionally here, rye is incredible. I also like our squid ink cookie. I use this one to help me scale. I would recommend this one as well as a good option for you in your team. We have our friend here, Affogato. Affogato is going to be in the mix for you in the poison damage team. We also have in here our friend licorice cookie. And on top of that, let's keep going here. We have Shroomy. Another consideration can be Captain Caviar Cookie as an example. We also have our friend, obviously, that you have to use is Royal Margarine Cookie as well. Macaroon Cookie that we talked about and showed. I can scale up my skills here, making this one much better in terms of power and increase my particular record as well. So those are a couple things. And then Prune Juice Cookie there too. So those are all cookies that you can consider swapping in on your teams. Also as a portion of the scaling as well as you kind of progress and get to that end game when it comes to the Wyvern event. So let's go back here again. We covered on where the Cinnamon Valley Wyvern is in the special episodes Legend of the Red Dragon. We broke down the phasing, as I said, as well. Additionally, gave you the best teams to get there. I'm in the top 5%. You certainly can do that or better with the top 1%. If my particular team was much more scaled up on that power level, that would make a huge difference for me along with my treasures. We gave you some tips and tricks around the boss consideration. The treasures and the particular toppings. Topping guides here are available on the channel that you can check out. And then lastly, we walked through a lot of the key cookies that can make and break and make additional difference for you here in this particular event. So thank you for tuning in for the Great Wyvern Hunt and guide here. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments. Lastly, I just want to say thank you. Appreciate your support as always as we continue to grow this channel. So thank you for the likes and the subs. And questions, comments, do let me know and feel free to swing by the Discord server. Stay tuned. We have a ton of CookieRun Kingdom content available to you here on the channel and a ton more headed your way as always. Until next time, we'll see you soon. Mythras out of here.